The World of Logic and the First Crack. Jean-Robert Dupre, who was known throughout his community simply as T-Jan, meaning Little John, lived and breathed verifiable facts. His entire life was built upon the unshakable foundation of mathematics and physics. Seated in his small, cluttered bedroom, T-Jan worked intensely on a complex hydraulic model for his advanced engineering class. The assignment required calculating fluid dynamics under extreme pressure, a welcome distraction from the chaotic, vibrant reality of the urban neighborhood outside his window. T-Jan wore heavy, expensive, noise-canceling headphones, a deliberate, physical barrier he maintained against the old stories of spirits, rituals, and pacts that still dominated his family's conversations. For T-Jan, folklore was simply an outdated operating system. He preferred the clean, efficient code of the modern world. The problem wasn't the ambient noise, it was the persistent, low-grade interference of his grandmother's spiritual beliefs that he sought to block out. He was determined to prove that the world operated on mechanical principles, not ancestral oaths. But then, the system failed. A high-pitched, metallic vibration sliced through the sound cancellation, bypassing the physical barrier of the headphones entirely. It wasn't a sound he registered through his eardrums. It was a pure, chaotic frequency he felt resonating in the marrow of his bones and the fillings of his teeth. It was cold, sharp, and profoundly wrong, like two immense, incompatible tectonic plates grinding against one another. This was his first echo. T-Jan snatched the headphones off, the mundane sound of traffic flooding his ears, but the spiritual frequency persisted. He immediately scanned his room, checking for malfunctioning electrical equipment, damaged power lines, or structural resonance issues in the building. He even checked his phone for emergency frequency broadcasts. Nothing. His analytical mind, however, recognized a pattern. This vibration wasn't random, it was rhythmic, calculated, and highly aggressive. It was the digital screech of intentional dissonance, a noise that shouldn't exist, forced into the physical plane. He dismissed it as an acoustic hallucination, a neurological misfire, but the feeling lingered, the unsettling sense that a fundamental law of physics had just been broken within his own body. The victim and the corrupted signature. The unsettling rhythm of the echo grew stronger, pulling T-Jan from his desk. He found himself in the hallway outside his neighbor's apartment, Marie. The air here was heavy and unnaturally still, as if every molecule of sound had been vacuumed out. The vibrant life of the building was choked off at this threshold. He found Marie standing motionless in her doorway. She was staring blankly at the ceiling, her eyes wide but unfocused. She wasn't panicking. She was worse than catatonic. She was empty. She was emitting a constant, low, rhythmic hum that was a mirror image of the dissonant echo itself. It was the sound of a vacuum being maintained, a continuous, subtle spiritual drain. T-Jan's first instinct was to activate the emergency medical protocol he'd learned in school. He tried to check her pulse, to find a scientific basis for her vacancy, but the moment his fingers brushed her skin, his mind rejected the data. The overwhelming force of the echo, the sense that her signature was missing, intensified, overriding every piece of logic he possessed. Above Marie's head, on the plaster wall, a symbol was crudely etched, a perfect circle containing 4 broken, jagged lines. T-Jan's mind tried to classify the mark as graffiti or vandalism, but his unique perception of the spiritual world saw something else, a corrupted spiritual signature, a sacred map deliberately and maliciously twisted by a dark priest sorcerer. The signature felt like an anchor point for the draining energy. Marie, what happened? Can you hear me? T-Jan tried to reason, his voice sounding hollow in the dead air. Marie only emitted the low, vacant hum. It was the sound of spiritual captivity. He realized he could only perceive the full, horrifying picture, the truth of her lost self, when he stopped trying to understand it with scientific terms and simply felt the corrupted frequency. His logic was a shield that, for the first time, was failing him completely. He reached for his phone, desperate to call for outside help, but a wave of nausea forced him to drop it, confirming that this conflict was strictly spiritual. The Crossroads Spirit's warning. Disturbed to the point of desperation, Tijan retreated to his room and locked the door, but the sensation of the dissonant echo clung to his consciousness. He fell into a restless, smoke-filled sleep that night. His subconscious, stripped of his scientific defenses, opened the door to the spirit world. He dreamed he was standing at a literal, immense crossroads. It was a junction where a modern asphalt highway violently intersected with an ancient path of dark, blood-red clay. It wasn't just a place, it felt like a collision of eras. He was approached by an old man with a tattered straw hat, worn dark clothes, and a simple, yet impossibly heavy, cane. This was the Crossroads spirit, the venerable entity who opens the gates between realms and holds the keys to all spiritual journeys. "You hear the friction, little John?" The spirit boomed, his voice like the rattling of dry leaves. "The gate squeaks because the pacts are being broken. You try to grease it with numbers and calculation, but service is the only key that turns the lock." Tijan, confused but utterly aware that this was more real than his waking life, protested weakly, "Who are you? This isn't real. You are a construct of my subconscious fear." The spirit chuckled, a sound like shifting gravel. "I am the road, and the road is closing. You are the key. Your blood remembers the oath your lineage took long ago." The spirit's focus was intense. He pressed a smooth, worn piece of polished shell, not bone, but an ancient, spiritually charged object, into Tijan's open hand. "Hold the balance," he commanded. "The dissonant chord seeks to destroy the harmony." He then vanished, leaving Tijan alone at the intersection of realities. Tijan woke with a gasp. The room was cold, the air thick with the faint smell of sulfur and dust. The object from the dream, the ancient, polished shell, was now physically, undeniably, in his hand. He was forced to confront the impossible truth. The laws of physics had been superseded by the laws of the spirit. The attack of the shadow beast. Before Tijan could logically process the physical manifestation of a dream artifact, the window shattered inward. A shadowy, shifting creature, a shape-shifting spirit, slammed into the room. Its form was chaotic, flickering violently between the shape of a large, monstrous dog, a striking snake, and a blurred, six-limbed humanoid silhouette. The creature didn't care about Tijan's body or his possessions. Its focus was absolute, its intent purely predatory. It lunged directly for the shell in his hand, clearly sent to steal the spiritual artifact that was a key to the crossroads. Tijan didn't know how to fight, but his panic, coupled with his newly activated echo, took over. He realized that the creature was just a chaotic, dense ball of the dissonant echo. He didn't rely on martial arts, he relied on instinctive signal processing. The narration explained the spiritual mechanics in technical terms, channeling his raw, concentrated focus, his panic and his newly awakened spiritual energy, through the focusing lens of the crossroads shell. He instinctively used his echo power to generate an exact, opposite counter-frequency. It was spiritual inverse acoustics, a conscious decision to jam the shape-shifting spirit's corrupted signature. The spirit's form froze as the feedback loop hit it. It let out a horrifying, non-physical screech that sounded like tearing silk, the audio output of its spiritual energy short-circuiting. Its shadowy form momentarily solidified, then partially melted, crippled by the feedback. It ripped its claw back from Tijan's arm, leaving a severe, agonizing spiritual burn where the shell had been resting, a mark of corrupted power. The wounded spirit then phased out of the room, fleeing the intolerable frequency disruption. The priestess arrives. Tijan collapsed onto the floor, breathing heavily, clutching his burned forearm. The intense spiritual focus had left him physically drained, his muscles shaking. The air was thick with the residual energy, tasting like metal and ozone. The door burst open. Priestess Lilas, the local spiritual leader, stood in the doorway. She surveyed the shattered window, the lingering spiritual scent, and Tijan's marked arm. She carried no weapon, but an overwhelming aura of fierce, ancient authority. "I told you, little John," Lilas said, her voice firm and absolute, overriding Tijan's pain. "You think the crossroads are a mathematical equation. They are a choice. You made the choice when you heard the sound and chose to fight." She closed the door behind her, her expression grim, confirming Tijan's worst fears and his undeniable new reality. The gates are open, and the spirits are walking through your world. You have the echo, the spiritual receiver. You now serve. You start training tomorrow, before that frequency cripples you entirely.